for today we have two different band setups. So I have my regular band here, and that's kind of like the regular setup where we'll attach it. I attach it to my post here, or to a doorknob, or to a banister or something that you have. Now, if you don't have access to a secondary band, don't worry, there's a modification for not having a second band. But if you do have access to a second band, what I've done is I've attached a band that is anchored to a post. So I have a setup here where I have an anchor point for another circular band, and we're going to use this as an alternative to making our lunges a little bit more challenging today. So if you don't have the option or an anchor point to set up another band, don't worry, but we do have that coming in as an option later on in our workout. So if you don't have that, no worries. Otherwise, you can take a moment to try and get that set up. Again, today we have our three components to our workout that we're going to go through. We're going to go through our warm-up, which has 4 exercises. We're going to run through those twice. Then we have our strength circuit, which is 3 exercises, and we'll run through that 3 times. And then if we still have time left at the end, we'll do a little bit of stretching in our cool down. So we'll jump right into it here today. You can get set up on one leg. Again, we're going to reconnect with that feeling of balance on one leg. We're engaging the glutes, we're engaging the core, we're trying to get the middle of the knee over the middle of the foot. And you can even think about trying to get your belly button or your whole zipper lined up over top of your foot. And then once you feel like you have that balanced position, you can add some dynamic classic skier movements in here. And again, you can slow this down to keep your balance, or you can speed it up to challenge your balance. You find whatever works for you. Even if you find you're losing your balance and you have to put your foot down for a moment, that's totally fine. Just a little bit of a warm-up exercise for you here. Let's shake it out. Let's do the other side. Same thing. Find that moment to set up, getting your balance straight, and then getting some ski-specific classic striding movements in here. And slow it down or speed it up, whatever feels good for your balance. Good. We're going to take our feet pretty wide here. We're going to do some side lunges. So you can challenge yourself how far down you want to go in these side lunges. You can take it over to one side and just take it to 90 degrees before coming up and going over to the other side. If you really want to challenge yourself, you can try and drop down all the way down to the ground and then come back up from there. But again, find whatever depth feels good for you today. We're going to go 5 on each side here, a total of 10. And you don't have to go all the way down, you can just go to 90 degrees. Feel those glutes engage, feel the quads work. Maybe feel a little bit of a stretch on the inner thigh, on the leg that's not working as well. Good job, gang. Let's do one more on each side here. And I use my hands kind of out front as a little bit of counterbalance. You can do that with me as well. Good. If you have a band set up, you can grab your band, or you can do this without the band. We're going to do 1 set of WITs as a part of our warm-up today. So we're going to do 3 of each, W-Y-N-T, and we're going to add a 3-second hold at each point. So 1, 2, 3 in the W, 1, 2, 3 in the Y, and then 1, 2, 3 in the T. We're going to do that 3 times. For those of you who haven't done the WITs before, here's your little demo from the front view so you can see what it looks like from the front. We're doing a W, elbows down, hands up. Y is hands overhead, shoulders down, and then T is hands up at shoulder height. We're going to come back to that one on our second round of our warm-up if you didn't quite figure that out. But if you've been following along with the other SkiStrongs, hopefully that exercise is getting pretty habitual to you. You're getting used to waking up those back muscles. Great. Our last exercise in our warm-up is our single leg deadlift. So you can go hands on hips or hands out to the side for balance. We're going to hinge forward, trying to maintain a strong balanced position. And if you're having a hard time balancing, you can slow this movement down. We're going to do 10 on each side. If you have a lot more ease in this position, you can try adding a little bit of a knee up pop in your warm-up single leg deadlifts if you feel like that's a comfortable position for you to try and balance in. But if you're struggling with the balance, slow it right down. Just focus on the basics here. Trying to think about engaging the glutes, keeping the middle of the knee over the middle of the foot to maintain your strong balance position. So again, we're going 10 on each side. And then we're going to switch to the other side. Good work, gang. Once you've done 10, let's switch it up. We're going on the other side now. So again, you can either take these nice and slow, or you can challenge your balance a little bit by adding a pop, knee up in that front position. So if you're feeling strong and confident in your balance today, you can add that knee pop. If you're feeling like balance is a little bit more challenging, you can just keep that tempo nice and slow and consistent. Pick whatever feels right for you today. Sometimes balance feels different on your left foot compared to your right foot. So you can notice if that feels different from side to side, and sometimes even from day to day. You know, tomorrow your balance might feel different than today your balance feels. Good, once we've done 10 of those, we're gonna come back to the top of our warm-up. So we're gonna come back to those classic skaters, or classic skiers, standing on one leg, feeling that balance again, going straight from one balance exercise to another. We're really working those balance muscles back to back here. Good work. And when we're moving the leg here, we want to try and keep our core position as stable as possible. So my shoulders and my hips are staying nice and still, and I'm trying not to have any side wobbling or twisting happening in my body here. I'm trying to keep my hips and my shoulders as stable as I can as I'm moving my leg back and forth. So you want to keep the core nice and strong, engaging your abdominals, engaging your back muscles to keep that together. Once you've done 10, let's switch sides. And same thing here. You can change the speed up, but you really want to focus on being able to keep a strong and neutral core position. So you want to avoid twisting or kind of bobbing side to side. You want to keep your hips and your shoulders aligned while you're moving your leg around. Just like in skiing, we want the legs to move around the body. The upper body stays relatively still throughout this movement. Good, let's shake those legs out, spreading the feet as wide as we can. And again, choose your level of difficulty, coming down to a 90-degree position or trying to drop all the way down, hips down to the ground. Choose your level of difficulty and work with that. You might find that you're feeling a little bit more warmed up now than you were in your first set. And if that's the case, you can challenge yourself to go a little bit deeper, work your quads and glutes a little bit more. We're going 5 on each side, a total of 10 here. Good work, everybody. Going for 1 more on each side. I always laugh at myself because counting is hard when you're talking, explaining, and doing workouts. All right, if you have that band, we're going to grab a band for WYTs, 3 of each, WYTs, holding for 3 seconds. So we're going W, 2, 3, and then Y, 1, 2, 3, and then T, 1, 2, 3. We're really focusing on feeling the shoulder blades pull back and down, and you want to try and make sure that you're not letting your shoulders scrunch up to your ears in this moment. You want to keep those upper back muscles strong, pulling the shoulder blades back and down. Good work, everyone. Just 3 of each of those. It's just our warm-up. We're going to finish off our warm-up today with our single leg deadlift. So once you're finished with your WYTs, 3 of each, we're going to move on back. Last of our warm-up exercises, back to that balancing act, single leg deadlift. You're going down and try and go down as low as you can, keeping your shoulders pulling back. So you don't want to reach for the ground in this exercise. You want to keep your back neutral, your shoulders pulling back, and then come back up. So as low as you can without kind of reaching for the ground. So making sure this is a really good hip hinge position, not rounding through the back. So that's a good, we're going to go 10 on each side. Hopefully you're starting to feel a little bit warmed up. In this exercise, you might feel a little bit of work in your glutes and your hamstrings. You might also feel a little bit of stretching in your hamstrings, which is a good secondary benefit of this exercise. As we're getting warmed up, we're lengthening out our muscles as well as activating them, which is a great way to pick our warm-up exercises. Good, once you're done 10, you're going to switch over to the other side. So moving at your own pace. Can't guarantee that I'm going to count really well or remember the exact number of reps that I'm on when I'm talking and doing the exercises. So hopefully you're doing your counting as well, making sure that you're doing 10 on each side for these ones. Good work, everybody. Again, you can add that knee pop if you feel confident with your balance, or just keep it to the regular tempo. Nicely done. Hopefully you're feeling pretty warmed up now. We're done our warm-up series. You can take a quick sip of water if you need it. If you need to take a moment to set up your bands, we have a band attached to an anchor point near the bottom. We also have a band attached, kind of like we had it attached to the WITs, for a different exercise. We're going to start actually with this band that I have attached. And we're going to do something called band punches. I call them band punches because it's a really short, nice name. The longer name could be called band anti-rotation punches, because what we're trying to do is we're actually creating tension in our core by pulling this band out. I'm in kind of a lunge position here, so 1 foot forward, 1 foot backwards. My hands are together, so instead of having your hands side by side, have your hands together as best as you can, and you're going to start with your hands right in the middle of your chest, okay? From here, you're going to punch your hands out, and as you punch your hands out, you're going to feel the band wants to pull you towards your anchor point. So that's the rotation. We don't want it to do that, so we're anti-rotating here. So what we're going to do is we're going to punch the band out, hold for 3 seconds, and then come on back in, and we're trying to not let anything move except for our hands. So our core needs to stay strong and engaged and resist the band wanting to pull us towards the anchor point. So we're going to do this 10 on each side with a 3-second hold. It gives us about 30 seconds of work on one side, and then we're going to switch to the other side. So with this one, because the band is anchored on one side of the body, you're going to feel your core muscles working a little bit differently on the left and the right sides. So that's pretty natural to feel here. And that's how we'll do both sides. So once you've done 10 on each side, or 10 on one side, you can switch around to do 10 on the other side. So again, you keep everything anchored to the same spot. You just turn around, face the other direction, and then you're doing your band punches from the other direction now. Good work, gang. Awesome job. So you're going to keep on doing those band punches in the other direction. And what I like to think about, I almost like to think about feeling like my core is just bracing against this whole thing. It's not like crunches where you're crunching your core to engage it. You're really bracing. And sometimes I even feel like it's like a seat belt across my core as I feel parts of my obliques working a little bit differently because of this anti-rotation aspect. So you want to feel, again, like it's as if someone was like punching you in the sides or punching you in the stomach. You want all of that core to stay engaged, not just the kind of crunching ab muscles. This is so important for cross-country skiing. We all the time are applying a force down in front of us with our poles, and we don't necessarily want to crunch into that force, but we do want to brace against that force. Good, so once you've done 10 on that second side, we're actually going to drop down to the ground. We haven't done, I don't think we've done push-ups in our SkiStrong yet, so I'm going to teach you guys an eccentric push-up protocol. So what eccentric means is we're focusing on the lowering portion of the movement. So when you're focusing on the lowering portion, you're actually stronger when you're lowering than when you're pushing. So what we're going to do is we're going to really focus on keeping everything nice and tight and looking good on the lowering down of our push-up. And we're not really going to worry too much if you're struggling with that lowering push-up. We're not going to worry too much about how we're coming back up. But if you do need a variation and you have something to put your hands on, like a bench or a couch, you can definitely elevate your hands to make this a little bit easier, and I'll demo that as a secondary option. So the first thing that you can try and do, option number 1, is to start with your knees off the ground, toes are the main point of contact, and you're going to lower yourself for a count of 3 all the way down to the ground. You can then drop your knees down to the ground and push back up from your knees before lifting your knees back up and slowly lowering to the ground. So that's level 1. Level 2 would be just starting from your knees, really focusing on keeping the whole core together nice and strong. And then maybe you're kind of doing a little bit of a worm to get back up if you don't have the strength to push yourself back up. And then option number 3 would be on your knees from the bench, where you could do just a slow lowering down and then just a quick pushing back up. So really focusing on that lowering movement. I'm going to get you guys to try and do 8 to 10. So see if you can push yourself. Get 8 to 10 10 push-ups in here. And again, we're really focusing on that lowering portion of the movement. You want to try and keep the core nice and strong so that you're not arching your back or rounding your back when you're in that push-up position. So you want to keep a nice straight line from your shoulders to your hips and then your hips to your feet, and making sure that that stays connected through the whole movement. So nice and slow on the way down. You can drop your knees down to the ground to push back up. Awesome work. Once you've done your 8 to 10, you can get that band set up if you need to figure out your anchored point. If you don't have an anchor point for the next exercise, that's okay. You can just do regular lunges. So wherever you are in your push-up situation, you can take a break where you are. We're going to move on to the next exercise. So I've got my band set up, and what I'm doing is I'm stepping my foot inside the band. So my band is around the outside of my knee that is away from the anchor point. And then I'm just going to do a lunge where I'm dropping my knee down and then lifting it back up. So if you don't have a band, that's okay. You can just do regular lunges. The band, what it does is it's adding an extra element of pulling my knee in towards the anchor point, which really makes me use my glutes to pull my knee back out. So if you don't have a band, you can just focus on the middle of your knee, staying over the middle of your foot, and using your glutes to get yourself aligned in that position. The band just makes it harder. So we're going to do 10 on each side here. And then once you're done 10, we can switch over to the other side. And again, the whole goal here is really the alignment of your knee and the engagement of your glute. So whether you have a band or not, you can try and make that your focus. Once you're done 10 on one side, I'm switching my band around to the other side. And I keep my anchor point, and then I just have to turn the other direction so that then my knee is again being pulled into my anchor point, and I have to work on pulling it away. So if you have just regular lunges with no band, that's okay. Same idea, focusing on the middle of the knee, over the middle of the foot, keeping the glutes engaged to get that knee alignment. Good work, everybody. Again, we're going for 10 on each side. Just a regular tempo here. 1, 2 down, 1, 2 up. And really focusing on that knee alignment. Middle of the knee over middle of the foot. Good job. Once you're done 10 on each side, you can shake it out. We're going into round 2 for our strength exercises, which means we're coming back to the band punches. So our first little band set up here. We're getting into a small lunge position, so I have one foot slightly in front of the other to make it a little bit less stable. If I want to make it more stable, I can take a full kind of squat neutral stance here, or split stance to make it a little bit off center. Core is nice and strong. We're punching the hands out in front of us. Again, my hands are stacked one on top of the other instead of holding it side by side. And then I'm bringing it back in. If you want to make this more challenging, scoot yourself further away from your point of contact. The tension of the band will then increase, and the amount of work that you have to do through your core will also increase. If you're finding this too challenging and you can't resist the band is pulling you in, do the opposite. Bring yourself closer to your point of contact, and then you'll feel the resistance of the band a little bit less. Even still, again, the modification to bring the feet together for a slightly less challenging exercise, or having the feet staggered, one in the front and one in the back for a slightly more challenging exercise. Once you've done 10, you switch over to the other side. And if you were doing a staggered stance with me, you want to switch which foot you're having forward as well. So now I'm facing the opposite direction with my opposite foot forward, and I can feel the band pulling on my core a little bit differently from the other side. Good work, gang. Awesome job. So again, we're still really focusing on that core being engaged in a neutral position. So you can do a little check-in with yourself while you're finishing these off. Do you feel like you're rounding or arching or twisting? Or do you feel like you're able to keep a neutral position with your spine as the band goes? We'll come back to that one more time. We'll make sure that we're keeping a neutral body position. All right, next exercise, we're dropping it down for our eccentric push-ups. So again, you can have a couple of different modifications. You know that you have that bench option there for you if you need it. But if you're feeling ready to try the full push-ups from the toes on the eccentric portion, so 1, 2, 3, down, you can drop the knees to the ground and push back up from the knees for that eccentric protocol. You can even scale this up if you wanted to make it more challenging for yourself by doing these from the toes on the way down and on the way up. You would just change your counts. So you would make sure that you would go 1, 2, 3 on the way down and then 1 on the way up, even if you kept your knees up off the ground and you were just making it harder by doing them all from your toes. Again, we're going 8 to 10 here. So choose your level of difficulty, challenge yourself, see how many you can get done in the amount of time that we have here. If you can get all the way to 10, that's great. If you get 8, that's also great. You're killing it. These are challenging exercise. You can give yourself another 5 seconds here. And we're getting ready to move on. So wherever you are in your push-ups, we're going to move on to the next exercise. We're moving on to our lunges with the band option if you have a band, and if not, it's just regular lunges. So your foot comes inside the band. And again, we're using the band to apply a torque on the knee inwards, and then I have to use my glutes to pull my knee outwards. We're going to do 10 on each side. And again, if you wanted to add some weight or some extra challenge here, you could hold something heavy in your hands, or you could keep this body weight. Even if you keep it body weight, you should feel those glutes really working. And then when your glutes are really working here, hopefully it'll lead to increased knee stability so that your balance feels better. Awesome job, everybody. Excellent. Once you've done 10 on one side, you can switch that around, doing 10 on the other side. So if you have a band, you're keeping it anchored in the same spot, you're just spinning yourself around. And again, we're using the band to apply torque so that we have to pull our knee into alignment a little bit more than we normally do. And this really helps activate those gluteus medius muscles that are responsible for all of the knee alignment and hip stability that we need in cross-country skiing. Good work, everybody. Going for 10 here, just a couple more. Awesome job. Once you've done 10, you can shake those legs out, shake your arms out, take a little breather, and then we're going to go back to the top of our circuit for one last time through today. We're almost there. We're coming back to these band punches. So again, scale this either harder by moving away or easier by moving closer. Harder by going split stance or easier by going feet together. And then wherever you are, we're going to punch that band out, count to 3, 1, 2, 3, and then pull it back in. We're really thinking about bracing our core against this rotation force that wants to pull our core in. And we're trying to resist that. So band punches or anti-rotation band punches for a longer name. Good work, everybody. Keep focusing on engaging the core nice and strong and making sure that when you're here, you want to try and keep that neutral body position. So you're trying not to round or twist or arch your back in that position. You try and keep a strong, stable core when you're doing these band punches. Just like in skiing, we want to keep our tall posture in the upper body almost all the time. Awesome work. Once you've done 10, you can switch over to the other side. So again, just spinning around. If you have your feet together, then you stay the same. If you had that split stance, you're switching your feet up so that you have the opposite foot in front of you this time as well. Making sure that our posture is good and our core is strong. 10 times, punching the hands out, holding for a count of 3, and then bringing it back in. Awesome work, everybody. This is one of my favorite exercises. I love this one. You can do it so many different ways with a split stance with your feet together. You can do it in a squat. You can do it in a lunge. You can make a lot of your exercises more challenging just by adding a band punch into a stationary hold. This is an awesome exercise to work on that standing core position that is so important for cross-country skiers. Awesome work. Once you've done 10, we're going to drop down to those push-ups again. So down to the ground. You might feel like your arms are a little bit tired. That's okay. This is the last round of push-ups. We can do this. Eccentric push-up protocol, 3 counts on the way down and then a quick push on the way back up. 1, 2, 3. I like dropping my knees to the ground to come back up. 1, 2, 3, and then a quick push to come back up. Scale this however you want to make sure that you're able to do the movement as best as you can here. And we're aiming for 8 to 10 of these. So whichever option feels like it's an appropriate difficulty for that number, go ahead and do that option. Awesome work, everybody. Push yourself. Last time we're doing this upper body workout here. See if you can get all the way to 10. Awesome job. Great work, everybody. If you need a moment to finish off doing a full 10 on this last set, take a moment, finish off that full 10. Feel proud of yourself for hitting that landmark. So don't rush out of this if you want a moment to get a couple more reps in. Once you're done, we're going to grab that band, or no band if you don't have it, and we're doing our lunges to finish off. And again, you can make this more challenging for yourself by having something heavy in your hands, or you can just really focus on the glute engagement and keeping the knee in alignment. Awesome job, everybody. Again, we're going for approximately 10 on each side here. I can't blame myself though, I'm not a reliable count. Try my best to keep count, but focusing a lot more on form here than counting, so that's okay. If you get 9 or 11, it's not the end of the world. But once you think that you've got 10, you can switch over to the other side for our last piece in this strength workout today. Again, really focusing on keeping those glutes engaged, nice and strong through that glute, quad, and core through this exercise. Really focusing on stability of that front knee. Awesome work, everybody. Last little push here, getting all the way to 10 lunges. And then once you're done 10, we are done the strength portion of our workout today. Good work. So we have a minute here to do a little bit of stretching for our cool down. We're going to revisit that pectoral stretch today that we discussed or that we demonstrated last week. Because, well, today we did work our pecs in those push-ups. The main arm muscle that's working is our pectoral muscle. So if you feel a little bit of stiffness or tightness in your pectoral muscles later today or tomorrow, that's because of the push-ups. That's good. It means you're getting stronger. So you can take your hand, put it on the wall, or if you have some kind of door frame that you want to put your hand against, you can do that. And then you're going to start by facing in the same direction where your hand is, but then you're going to turn away. So your hand comes behind you. So you're going to turn away from your hand. Yeah, exactly. So like if I have my hand against the wall behind me, when I turn away, I have my shoulders now parallel to the wall behind me. You might not be able to do that if you're feeling a little bit tighter. That's okay. The goal is just to try and feel a little bit of a stretch in the pectoral muscles, the front chest, maybe the top a little bit front of your shoulder muscle there. And then let's do the other side. I just have my hand on a wall behind me and I'm turning away from my hand so I can feel a stretch in my pectoral muscle, the front of my chest, the front of my shoulder, and those are the muscles that we use in our push-ups for today. We're just stretching that out in hopes to try and decrease the stiffness that we might feel from that later today or tomorrow. But that was a great workout, guys. Good job to everyone for making it all the way through that workout. I hope to see you guys next week for SkiStrong again, same time, same place.